What's up, everybody? Ryan Adams here, Adams Group of Compass, little fidget spinner. If you want one of these, just let me know. I'll be glad to hook you up. Hope all is going well. We are here for another wonderful, amazing episode of Ryan and Real Estate. Click the subscribe button, hit the little notification bell so that you can know, ding, there is Ryan. He's coming and he's giving me some great information. Hopefully, that's what we try to do at least. Hope you guys are having a great week. Today, we're talking about this episode of Ryan and Real Estate. We're talking about, is Houston the right market right now to be able to flip a property? Lots of questions I've been getting on that lately. So I figured I'd answer some of those today. It takes a lot of work, a lot of stress, a lot of moving parts. Houston, and I'm going to answer the question, is Houston in the right environment market-wise in order to flip a property? Let me explain a couple of things first. What is the right environment, or what should you do before you decide, yes, I'm going to flip a property? Here's some things I think you should do. Really, three things you really want to look at when you're thinking about flipping a property. First thing you want to look at is, where do you want to buy this property that you're going to flip? Not every area, even if you get the right price, well, I mean, I guess it's the right price, but not every area is really suitable for flipping. But the question is, what areas do we actually really want to avoid? So the areas I would tell you to avoid would be areas that are actually like new construction areas that are having new homes built. Because when you flip a property, and 90% of the time you're taking a distressed property, you're renovating it, new paint, new windows, new HGTV look, everything, and then you're gonna make it look as turnkey as possible. Well, if you're in an area that has newer homes being built, guess what? The home you're having, even though it might be turnkey, it's not 20 years newer and brand new. And there's just something about walking into a new home and the smell of the new paint. And there's no stories behind the walls. It's new. So staying away from new homes, that's definitely an area you want to look at. Really, where I would suggest are homes that are a little bit older, and a lot of the homes in the area have not been taken care of. And then you've got some homes that are in that area that have already been flipped. That's probably the best way to start, although you could start in an area and be the first flipper, but I wouldn't suggest that be your first flip. So areas where homes are a little bit older, haven't been taken care of, but you can see some signs that homes have already been renovated and probably flipped. That's kind of where you're looking. Most of that's probably going to be found somewhere in the city, in Houston, probably definitely within the Beltway and probably within the Loop or right around the Loop. Secondly, the thing you want to think about before flipping is, what's your budget? And the most important part of your budget is, where are you getting the money from? Have you talked to a lender and figured out what type of loan you would actually qualify to buy an investment home? Which, if you didn't know this, there are different loan products for investments versus your own primary residence, unless you're going to be living there first, and that's a different ballgame. Or you can be buying it cash, which is the best solution because you don't have to pay anything to use the money. Or probably your last resort would be a hard money loan, in which you're paying an extremely high interest rate in order, and we're talking 10, 12% to borrow that money. So like if you're borrowing $300,000, which would include total cash for the renovation and everything else, and buying the property, you're probably looking at somewhere around $3,000 to $4,000 a month just in interest. So obviously that's super expensive. So understanding your budget, then backing up a step is, what are we going to buy it for? How much is it going to cost us to fix it and renovate it? Who's going to do it? And then once we do have it fixed and it's ready and it's turnkey and we're ready to roll, how much does it cost us to sell it using a realtor? Typical 6%, plus your title fees, plus any other things that might come up in the inspection. And after all that's been done, if we get it for this amount, and then we renovate it for all this amount and we sell it, what's the number in the middle? And that is what you will get as profit after you pay your capital gains, which is another expense to you. Thank you, IRS. We're always so thankful for that. So we got where to buy, our budget, and then lastly, and this really, it's more so to help figure out what your strategy is going to be, is, are we in a buyer's market or are we in a seller's market? Well, let me ask you, do you know what type of market we're in right now? It would be hard to not know, but do you know? Yes, we are in a seller's market. So what does that mean, flipping a property in a seller's market? The pros of that is if you have a turnkey property, guess what? If it's turnkey and it looks great and it looks better than everything else around it, it's gonna sell for top dollar. But what's the con of that? That con of that is that you're gonna have to actually find a property and be able to get it at a price in which you will be able to make a profit after all those fees we just talked about, which is what's very difficult in the seller's market, is finding a property. Usually the only way to do that is to find it off market, through a wholesaler, a friend you know that's thinking about selling property, and you're just like, hey, I'll buy it in cash, putting up signs that say, we'll buy your house for cash. Why do you think they're putting up those signs? It's for this very reason we're talking about, flipping the property. But that's the only way you can really do it in the seller's market. Or what's it like to flip a property in a buyer's market? There are pros and cons. The pros are the opposite of the seller's market. You can buy it at a really great deal because there's more houses than there are buyers. So that means sellers have to lower their price, and then you can sneak in there and grab it for a great deal. And especially if you're offering cash, you're usually gonna get a great deal. But the con of it is nobody's buying the houses. That's why we're in the buyer's market, which we're not in the buyer's market. So that means you're gonna have to stand out, and that house has got to look picture perfect, better than anything else that makes buyers say, I know I've got a million options for homes, and I know what you're priced at, but I'm willing to pay that because I love this home to death. Which, that's the con. It's hard to do that. So you can get a great property, but it's hard to sell it for top dollar. Got to know what market you are. So the final question is, knowing all of those things, is Houston in a flipping market? I would say possibly, but I would really say no. We're not in a flipping market. The asterisk would be, if you could by chance get your hands on a property that is priced well below market value, that allows you to renovate it, put the cost into it, and you're still gonna be able to sell it for top dollar, but you gotta get it low enough. And that's the problem. All the prices have been appreciated, and we've had one of the highest appreciation 2 years we've ever had in the history of the Houston real estate market. So it is very difficult to find a home that is priced right. Our main options would be foreclosures, which are very far to come in between right now. But I will tell you, I'll be doing an episode on this later. I do believe personally that we are getting ready to see some foreclosures hit the market. And when that does happen, that does present an opportunity potentially for you to flip. But there's not hardly anything. And foreclosures are going for almost as much as if you were to put it on the MLS retail as well. If you can get it off market to a wholesaler, friend or family, that's probably your only option. We're in the seller's market in Houston, and flipping a property is just really rare and hard to do right now. Now, if you did want to buy the house, rent it out, and hold it, that's another topic we'll be talking about, which is called the BRRRR method, and that's a really known real estate strategy out there. That is potentially possible. And you're gonna be paying top dollar, but as appreciation will continue to go, you should be good. But the quick answer, I wouldn't flip if I was you. That's it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Feel free to call. Feel free to text. If you have any questions, I'd love to help you out in any way I can. Thanks for joining us. Another episode, Ryan Real Estate. We'll see you next time.